Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be talking about the best late game mids of the current patch. Hopefully we get another patch soon, I hope. But until then, let's talk about the heroes that thrive from the mid lane in the later games. So we're going to be talking about 40 minutes plus here. I'm not talking about 10, 20, 30 minutes in. We're talking about the late game. When you got those tier 4 neutral items, things are really kicking off. Usually have 4 to 5 items. And yeah, let's get into it. Also, I want to see what you guys have to say. So if you ever disagree with me or just have any hero that you think I missed, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below and I'll check out what you guys have to say. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like literally with the GameLeap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the GameLeap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, coming in at number 5, we have Ember Spirit. So Ember Spirit for me, late game, I think really what he does well is magical burst. So I think the best build you can have on Ember late game is actually not a physical damage build because, I don't know, it just feels like, it feels slow. The damage can often be slow. However, the magical damage, Ag's refresher build is unbelievable. 40 to 50 minutes in, when you have Ember's Shard, Ag's, a Linken's, a BKB, a refresher, you have 10 remnants, right? Every single remnant does 300 damage. That is a 3,000 damage AoE nuke. If at any point in the late game you manage to get multiple heroes clumped up together and you can hit them with all of your remnants, a chain, and a sleight of fist, you can deal up to 4,000 damage in terms of burst. On top of that, another big thing about the late game is your ability to shove waves safely, right? I think a lot of the time people don't understand the importance of this. In the late game, really what teamfights often come down to is numbers advantages and vision advantages. And the main way you get that in Dota is by shoving waves. You're going to bait people to respond to the creep waves that you're pushing in, which is naturally going to create a numbers advantage on the opposite side of the map. And so all in all, basically what I'm saying is that Ember is really good at this because as I was saying, you can go Linken's. Very often you either have a Linken's, a BKB, or a Kai'Sange. And therefore, if the enemy tries to gank you, let's say they have a Crystal Maiden on their team and there are other supports like a Spirit Breaker, it's highly unlikely you're ever gonna die, right? Obviously, unless you get multi-man ganked, in which case, hopefully you could see it coming. And so yeah, Ember is incredibly good at this. On top of that, if his team wants to split up, he can really deal with it. If the enemy team has something like a Nature's Prophet, Ember Spirit can easily deal with it because he can leave a remnant behind. He can kind of just make sure that his team doesn't get picked off, right? Because that's often what really makes games just collapse in pubs. One guy gets picked off, one guy tries to save him, the next guy tries to save him, and it all goes downhill. So you want to try to start that except with the enemy team. On that note, another hero that's pretty similar to Ember, but I would say a little bit better because of null talismans, is Storm Spirit. There's no way around this one. Storm Spirit's kind of just a stupid hero. I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me if you've played against the current Storm Spirit in the mid to late game. It's kind of comical how much mana this hero has. Also, every single 2 minutes, you want to check the runes. If you happen to get an arcane rune, you're definitely the strongest hero in the game. It really is like that. I mean, honestly, I actually think you could zip the entire map and more with multiple null talismans and an arcane rune. And the thing is, here's what you usually do on Storm in the late game. You're gonna go for a BKB. Right, you're gonna have your Shard, you're gonna be level 25, so you're gonna have your Overload Bounces talent. This talent is insane. Basically, if you manage to hit an Ag's Vortex with 2 heroes next to each other, they explode. Even with no DPS items, they explode. Why? Because your 90 damage nuke, your Overload, bounces multiple times, which makes Overload a 270 damage nuke every single auto attack. Obviously, you can auto attack a lot, especially considering Storm Stun, when you have your Vortex talent, I believe is a 3.2 second stun. It's an insanely long duration stun, and on top of that, you should have a refresher. The most common late game build that I've actually seen on the utility Storm Spirit is Refresher, a Aghanim's Blessing, Shard, BKB, and yeah, that's what it is. You pull them in, hit them a bunch with your Shard, you refresh, you do the same thing, and they explode. Coming in at number 3 is Pangolier. Really, I think the reason why Pango is so freaking good is because of Basher and because of his level 25 talent with Octarine Core. Pangolier is kind of one of those heroes that you might not expect. You might even think that, oh, he falls off, right? Because the Diffusal Blade is not as good anymore. It's like if you bought a Maelstrom, that's not that good. Why is this hero so good? It's just the control. The control of Pangolier in the late game is unbelievable. It's insane. When this hero gets slotted, its general ending build is gonna revolve a Basher and an Octarine. And here's why this is important. You have a Rolling Thunder cooldown talent at level 25. You also at level 30, if you happen to get there around minute 40 to minute 50, which often you will on Pango because your hero clears waves very quickly and can show up to the majority of team fights, pretty low cooldowns. So it's a very high XP hero in general. But on that note, when you have a Basher and your Rolling Thunder cooldown talent, and you have your Swashbuckle talent, and an Octarine Core, you have a roll that's on like a 15-second cooldown that lasts for like 13 seconds, right? Assuming you have your Rolling Thunder duration talent. On top of that, every time you Swashbuckle, you can Bash, and that's on like a 5-second cooldown. And so if there's a BKB core, you can nearly burn the entirety of their late game BKB by swashbuckling them, abyssal blading them, and then swashbuckling them again. And it's like not a guaranteed chain stun, but it's really, really close to it, right? It's not a hard chain stun, but it's really strong and really close to it. And then you can just roll around the map. Does your team need you to clear midwave, right? Did your whole team die and you need to cut midwave? Just click your roll and click shield crash and kill the entire creep wave. They can't stop it unless they have like a Bane, in which case you gotta have a Linken's, and then there's no way they stop it. They better hope they have Black Hole in that case. And so Pangolier is really just a menace. On top of that, you know, the thing I mentioned about Ember, about being able to clear a wave safely, Storm's really good at that. Pango is insanely good at it with the roll that I talked about. With an Arcane Rune, your ulti is like a 7-second cooldown. Rolling Thunder is unironically a 7-second cooldown. It is very hilarious. It's so funny. But all right, nonetheless, let's get into number 2. And that is BATRIDER. I know this one sounds a little bit crazy. You're like, Speed, what? There's no way you're going to tell me BATRIDER is as good as Storm and Pango, but hear me out, okay? Yes, BATRIDER has some weaknesses in the late game, mostly Sticky Napalm being purged by Lotus Orbs and Yule Scepters, but here's what he does well. So at level 20, BATRIDER gets a Flame Break Charges talent. It's his old shard, kind of, except it only gives you the charges. Now that's not that good necessarily. Like at level 20, this talent's kind of trash. Yeah, 2 charges on Flame Break, you know, it's still decent. It pushes people back, you can push people away from you. You know, I think the damage stacks. Actually, does it? I'm not so sure. You guys can tell me in the comments, I'm a bit of a noob. But on that note, really what's important about this hero is level 25. That is when you get a Flame Break, which is, by the way, the cocktail ability. You get Flame Break, applies 2 Sticky Napalms. Back in the day, I would say about, what, 8 months ago, something like that, BATRIDER Shard made it where every time you Flame Breaked, it would apply 1 Sticky Napalm. Now, at level 25, you can have that. You can have 2 charges, and it applies 2 Sticky Napalm. This means with 1 Q and 2 Flame Break charges, you instantly put up a target to 5 Sticky Napalm. If you're not a BATRIDER player, you don't understand what that means. 5 Sticky Napalm charges allows you to solo kill any support. Yep, I'm not kidding. You can easily full to nothing any support, no problem. If you lasso them and Flame Break them twice with Firefly, they will die. Then you buy a refresher and you do it again. And the thing is, you can also do this to a core through BKB. You can lasso them, right? And so BATRIDER just kind of has the utility in the late game that I think is insanely powerful. I think it's very misunderstood. You just have to take the right talents. If you take the Sticky Napalm damage at level 20, I think you really are just kind of griefing your level 25 spike that is one of the hardest spikes in the game. Maybe I'm slightly overvaluing BATRIDER at number 2 here, but I will say that this timing is way better than people will imagine. Also, you're gonna have an Octarine Core that's gonna refresh the flame breaks even quicker, as well as your Sticky Napalm even quicker, as well as your cast range. So from like a million range away, you can force people to Lotus early, you can force people to BKB early, you can cancel blinks. This hero has an insane amount of utility, as well as the ability to just misposition heroes in the late game, which is unbelievably useful, right? Just being able to pull in a core into 5 of your teammates is insanely powerful and cannot be understated. And finally, last but not least, this one I know might shock some of you guys, but man, when I play this hero in the late game, it honestly feels pretty unbelievable. And I know this is gonna be a bit of a hot take, And I really do believe that any of the heroes on this list could be at number 1. It was a bit hard for me to kind of like pick one, but I put Void Spirit, and I know this sounds insane, and I'm sure a lot of you guys were thinking like Invoker or something like that, and while Invoker is really good, especially if you have something like a Faceless Void for the Cataclysm combo, really, Void Spirit's just nuts. I like it. Once again, it might seem weird. It's like, really? Void Spirit? Like, he doesn't have any like X Factor ability. What it is it's the constant chain stun and silence. Really, it's what it is. When you get your Octarine core on Void Spirit, and you have an Axe, and then you get to level 25, and you have your Dissimulate stun, you have 4 disables. Your Dissimulate stuns, your Aether Remnant pulls, and both of your silence silences. On top of that, your ulti slows. The amount of control that this hero puts out in the late game is unbelievable. And with Octarine core, the cooldown on all of this is insanely low. Also at level 20, you have an 4 seconds off Astral Step charges talent, right? That's your ulti. And so your ulti comes back up even quicker. And yeah, this hero just is insane. Like, you cannot kill it. If you have a Linken's, like generally the build I like to have in the late game is Linken's, Ags, sometimes BKB if you really need it, but usually not. Linken's, Ags, Octarine, usually a Kaya Sanch at some point, maybe a Witchblade if you kind of went that route earlier into the game. And then you're wildly tanky with like treads or bots, right? Probably bots so you can clear waves. Your hero one-shots waves. Literally, I think with your Spell Amp talent, or even just with a Kaya, I think with just a Kaya, maxed out Astral Step one-shots creep waves. It's insane. And then with Octarine and your Astral Step talent, it's like you can casually just step through every single creep wave and just one-shot waves over and over and over again, and then dissimulate out. And so yeah, if you've never played this hero in the late game with Octarine and your talents, it's unbelievable. The control you do, you have a 4-second stun, right, with your pull into dissimulate combo. It's a 4-second stun into a 4-second silence, which then comes back up, which you can do again. It's the lowest cooldown control. Like, it's the lowest cooldown chain stun you got here. Pangolier is pretty freaking insane as well on that regard, but honestly, the reliable AoE silence from Void Spirit in the late game is insane. And it might sound weird because it's like, oh, there's BKBs and there's Lotuses, but it's too consistent, right? Because of this Octarine and because of the Dissimulate stun talent, it's too consistent of disable to play around. There's no defensive item that really fully saves you from this besides BKB, which you obviously should try to kite out. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!